Okay, we're going to see one more game with the Sicilian Dragon defense, and this one was played in this year, 2007, uh, between Donald Mason with whites against Christopher Ward with black pieces during the British Championship. And Christopher Ward is a player that likes to play the Sicilian Dragon very much, so there are many games to be found with this variation where we see him behind the black pieces. And in this game, actually, both players attack each other's king very aggressively, so it becomes a very entertaining fight to watch. So we have this position that we have seen before in other videos, and the move d6 d5 is here a move that is played many times to open this center. But what black did in this game is to play bishop to d7. Now white starts with the main plan of attacking the black king by advancing the h-pawn, wanting to open the h-file and use this rook on h1 to attack on the king side. And black didn't play h5 himself now here. We have seen this idea in some other games that h5 can be a very good way of defending here, stopping immediate g4, so then having time to attack on the queen side. But what black did in this game was play rook c8, simply ignore this h-pawn advance. White played bishop to e2, knight goes to e5, the knight is going to c4 as we have seen in other games, and then g4 is played. So white is using all this pawn power on that side to attack, and black plays b5. So the black player, Christopher Ward, is a player that he doesn't mind just sacrificing some material in order to open more lines here on the queen side to have a strong attack, to have the initiative. But in this game now the white player thinks exactly the same way. He plays h5, going for his own attack. Now knight to c4 is played, attacking both queen and bishop, and white doesn't of course want to lose this dark square bishop and leave the g7 bishop alive, so this knight is taken. B takes c, and now this was actually the moment in which white could have played bishop to h6 to exchange this defending bishop and weaken the dark squares. And according to some commentaries that I've seen on chessgames.com, bishop h6 would have been the best move in this position. However, the white player chose to take on g6, h takes g6. That looks of course very good as well to open the h-file and keep attacking. Now black took back with the f-pawn, and queen to h2 was played. So the main ideas are clear of white. He's targeting h7. Now the problem for white is that this h7 is still defended by this knight on f6. So the plan for white now is how to get rid of this knight on f6, and in the meantime of course black wants to start his own attack on the queen side against the white king. Now d2 e2 is played, the knight is going to c4, bishop e6, and this is an interesting maneuver. Bishop e6, the bishop goes later to f7, so then the black bishop actually from f7 defends g6 and is also still on this diagonal that can be used for the attack later. So I found this very interesting, this defensive maneuver from the bishop d7 to e6 and then to f7. Knight to f4 and then bishop f7, and now white plays a3. Now the move a3 is to free this knight on c3, so this knight can go to d5 to attack this defender on f6 without the pawn on a2 being undefended. So that's why white plays first a6. Now rook goes to b8, placed on the open, half open b file, and the knight goes to d5. Now he's threatening to take on f6 and then on h7. So black plays bishop takes g5, and then we see the other knight coming in. Knight takes d5, and again black has the same problem, that the defender on f6 is threatened. And this time there is a beautiful surprise. Christopher Ward with black pieces now plays rook takes b2, a very strong rook sacrifice. Of course this rook cannot be taken. If king takes b2, then there are two options. Knight to g4 is the most easy to find one, winning the queen, and another option is knight takes d5, and believe it or not, but Fritz finds here a mate in 6 moves, but this for humans would be quite difficult to calculate, although maybe it's not that strange idea to have a look at those possibilities. But I think that most players would simply choose to take on g4 and win the queen, and then later win the game. At least that would have been my decision. But anyway, this means that the rook on b2 cannot be taken. So white plays knight takes f6. Rook takes f6 is played, and also now the rook on b2 cannot be taken. White played queen takes h7 check, but let's have a short look at king takes b2. Then rook f3 check, the bishop on g7 is giving check, the king can go to a2. Now queen c3, there is a mate threat here on b2. The only way to stop it is bishop to d4. The bishop is taken. Once more there is a mate threat on b2. Rook takes d4, and now there is a beautiful move by black, and that is the move h5. The idea behind this move is that it prevents that the white queen can give checks to the black king. So then if a defensive move is played like queen to d2, then black can take on a3 check, king b1, and then the rook can goes to f8 with the deadly threat rook b8 check mate, or almost mate. And that means that now we see how important it was to play h5 here, because if you don't do that, you cannot take here on a3, because then after king b1 there is no time to go to play rook f8. So that's why this move h5 is so important, to prevent these checks of the white king. But let's go back to the game now, because this was actually all in this position to explain that king takes b2 is actually still not a good idea, because black gets a very strong attack. So queen takes h7 is played. Now king goes to f8, bishop h6, attacking g7, queen c3, bishop takes g7 check, king e8, queen g8 check, king d7. Now rook goes to d2 to defend c2, where there was a mate threat, and now there is a new mate threat, rook a2, threatening rook a1 mate. King goes to d1, and then still rook a1 was played, and white resigned this position because after king to e2 there is a mate here, queen takes c3. So one thing that maybe you would like to see as well, that is, if I go back a few moves, taking on g7, because that's, I'm going too far now. Let's return to the position here, queen c3. Someone asked me, what if queen takes g7? Wouldn't that be a better idea? But it's actually not, because then king goes to e8, and after queen g7, still the king escapes to d7, and now we see that white has no more threats here on the king side. So taking with queen on g7 wouldn't make a difference actually. So this was this very exciting game where both players attack very heavily, and the black attack is actually proved stronger than the white one. And I hope you enjoyed this game, and I'll continue looking for this kind of beautiful games with the Sicilian Dragon Defense. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.